What if every law you live by was crafted by code, written not by elected officials or legal scholars, but by lines of logic and algorithms humming away in a server room somewhere? Imagine a world where the rules that shape your daily life, from the taxes you pay to the freedoms you enjoy, are not debated in grand halls but generated in milliseconds by artificial intelligence, and not a single human hand touched the pen. No passionate speeches, no heated debates, no midnight compromises, just cold, calculated logic, encoded and executed without a flicker of emotion. We are on the brink of a seismic shift. Governments around the world are beginning to experiment with handing power to artificial intelligence systems. These systems are not just tools for analysis or prediction, they are being designed to draft legislation, enforce regulations, and allocate public resources. The very foundation of governance is being rewritten, not by people but by machines. From traffic laws that adapt in real time to pandemic responses that optimize for public health, algorithms promise a new era of efficiency and objectivity. They can process vast amounts of data, spot patterns invisible to the human eye, and make decisions in seconds that would take committees weeks or months. But what happens when the rule makers are lines of code with no moral compass? When the architects of our society are not guided by empathy, tradition, or a sense of justice, but by optimization functions and statistical models? Buckle up. Today we explore a world where artificial intelligence does not just advise leaders, it becomes the leader. Where the ultimate authority is not a president, a parliament, or a judge, but an algorithm. Imagine an artificial intelligence that scans centuries of legal precedents, current social data and economic models, then writes new laws overnight. It can analyze every court case, every statute, every social trend, and synthesize it all into a legal code that is always up to date, always optimized for the latest challenges. No more outdated laws, no more loopholes, just a living, breathing legal system, constantly evolving at the speed of data. In pilot projects, machine learning systems have already generated tax code proposals and environmental regulations, optimizing for outcomes like gross domestic product growth or carbon reduction. These systems can simulate the effects of different policies, predict unintended consequences, and recommend the most effective solutions. In theory, this could mean smarter, fairer, and more responsive government. Legislators simply review, tweak, and pass them. The benefit? Lawmakers are freed from the tedium of drafting complex bills and can focus on oversight and big-picture strategy. The legislative process becomes faster, more transparent, and less vulnerable to special interests. No gridlock, no lobbying deadlocks, just instant policy creation. Imagine a world where the government can respond to crises in real time, updating laws and regulations as quickly as the situation changes. But whose values are encoded? Who decides what the algorithm should optimize for? Is it economic growth, social equality, public safety, or something else entirely? And who gets to set the parameters, the priorities, the trade-offs? The biases hidden in training data become the backbone of governance. If the data reflects historical inequalities or prejudices, the algorithm will perpetuate them, sometimes in ways that are even harder to detect or challenge than human bias. Once laws exist as code, enforcement follows suit. The same logic that writes the rules can be used to police them, creating a seamless, automated system of governance. Smart surveillance cameras detect traffic infractions, facial recognition systems flag loitering or suspicious behavior, and drones issue fines in real time. The city becomes a living network of sensors and enforcers, always watching, always judging, always ready to act. In one city trial, artificial intelligence managed parking enforced rules twice as consistently as humans, increasing revenue but sparking protests. People felt the system was too rigid, too unforgiving, unable to understand context or show mercy. Public safety improves, but privacy vanishes. Every action is tracked, every movement analyzed, every deviation from the norm flagged for review. The line between security and surveillance blurs, and the sense of being watched becomes a constant presence in daily life. When enforcement is automated, appeals become nearly impossible. The judge is an opaque algorithm. If you are wrongly accused, who do you turn to? There is no one to explain, no one to hear your story, no one to weigh the facts with compassion. Budgets, welfare, healthcare, these vital decisions can be optimized by artificial intelligence too. Algorithms can analyze spending patterns, health outcomes, and social needs to allocate resources more efficiently than any human committee. Systems analyze unemployment data, hospital capacity, and demographic trends to direct funds where they are most needed. In theory, this means less waste, better outcomes, and a more responsive government. Sounds great until an artificial intelligence deems rural counties low priority because they offer poor statistical returns. The logic is cold, the math is clear, but the human cost is invisible to the algorithm. Communities that fall outside optimal models risk permanent neglect, trapped by an algorithmic determination that they simply are not worth the investment. The digital divide becomes a chasm, and those on the wrong side are left behind, their voices drowned out by the hum of the machine. Algorithms do not empathize, they do not feel joy, sorrow, or regret. They cannot understand the pain of loss or the hope of a new beginning. They do not value human dignity. They cannot see the worth of a person beyond the numbers, the data, the patterns. They see only data points. Every individual becomes a statistic, every story a data set, every life a variable in a vast equation. When a system assesses unemployment benefits, it may deny aid to someone with 2 infrequent job searches, even if that person is elderly or has a disability. The algorithm cannot see the struggle, the barriers, the human reality behind the numbers. Artificial intelligence-driven child welfare models have, in tests, wrongly flagged loving parents because their social media patterns resembled high-risk profiles. The consequences can be devastating. Families torn apart, reputations ruined, all because of a statistical anomaly. Mistakes become permanent scars, and there is no human conscience to apologize. The system moves on, untroubled by guilt or remorse, leaving real people to pick up the pieces. Proponents demand open-source governance, letting citizens audit the code. They argue that transparency is the only way to ensure accountability, to catch errors, to prevent abuse. If everyone can see how the system works, perhaps we can trust it more. Critics warn that exposing the algorithm is like handing out nuclear codes. If the inner workings are public, they could be exploited, manipulated, or weaponized by those with the skills and the motive. What if foreign actors manipulate the law by injecting biased data? What if the system is hacked, corrupted, or subverted by those who wish to do harm? The risks are real, and the consequences could be catastrophic. What if a rogue programmer slips in policy tweaks favoring elite interests? A single line of code could shift billions in resources, tilt elections, or undermine the very fabric of society. True democracy requires debate and deliberation. Can that survive in an artificial intelligence-run system? If decisions are made in milliseconds, where is the space for public input, for dissent, for the messy, vital process of democracy? Governance by algorithm promises speed, consistency, and data-driven fairness, but at the cost of human judgment, transparency, and compassion. The trade-off is stark. A world that runs like clockwork, but may forget what it means to be human. As we edge closer to artificial intelligence ruling chambers of power, we must ask, do we want perfect efficiency or imperfect humanity? Are we willing to trade the wisdom of experience, the nuance of empathy, and the unpredictability of the human spirit for the cold logic of the machine? If this preview of algorithmic rule left you both amazed and alarmed, hit that like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the future of technology, society, and the choices that will shape our world. Join the conversation in the comments. Would you trust an artificial intelligence parliament, or fight to keep humans in charge? The future is being written now, and your voice matters more than ever.